It's lost that, a little bit of modern extreme metal to me has lost a little bit of its humanness.
Having a good production is okay, but in terms of like writing it as a human being, because I heard someone like, my AI can write a song, like, what? Where's the experience in there? I mean, like,
exactly.
You write a song because you see the world like this one, you just write it down so everyone can relate to it, right? But if you ask AI to do it, I mean, there are good and bad in terms of AI, but if you ask AI to write a song, that's kind of like, okay, that's not productive in terms of creative art.
Denied.
No. And it's really interesting now, like having a 14 and an 11-year-old, they hear all their new music on TikTok. So you and I would go to a record store, whereas now it's just 15-second sound bites on TikTok. And that's, you know, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm old. Well, I am. But, you know, at least I think we're very lucky at our ages. We are the last people of that generation where music wasn't just, you know, 15-second sound bites. It was albums. And when I was, you know, growing up, I would only have enough money to buy maybe one album a month,
right,
or 2 albums a month. So I would immerse myself in that album, because we didn't have the internet. I couldn't go on YouTube and flick through 5,000 songs. So I would have this cassette, and you would live with that cassette, and you would know every single bit. Every second of that cassette would become embedded in your DNA.
Plus the lyrics, like, oh, let's sing. I remember the Black album of Metallica. That's the first metal album that I have after buying the Guns N' Roses. We were talking about Guns N' Roses a while ago. I was looking at, like, I thought it was just a boring, like, Black album, kind of like Black album. And then you can see the thing, oh, this is cool. Now you see them, the faces are kind of like grayish, dark grayish, something like that. And then you have the lyrics. Read all the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then you will hear like the Nothing Else Matters, and then sing with it, with the lyrics. That's it. You don't browse your phone, and you get the paper from the album cover, and then that's where the lyrics is.
Yeah, and even going back further, when vinyl was first, like the 70s and the 80s, it's this. You know, you're listening to Number of the Beast or whatever it is, and there's that album cover, and it's like, wow. So it's the whole experience. Whereas music has really changed now, and now for my kids growing up, music is a 5-second soundbite maybe, and if you can't grab people in that 5 seconds on TikTok, then you know. So look, it's a different world, and you know, no doubt there's so many good quality bands around now. Like there's almost too much to listen.
How do you see the metal scene, or metal as a music, maybe in New Zealand or Wellington? How do you see that coming through in the future? Like, do you think it's gonna go bigger, or it's gonna go? Are we gonna have more metalheads listening to metal music?
I think so. Look, there are a lot of bands. 10% of those bands will go, because the key things that make a band are people who are reliable, people who can turn up to band practice every week and contribute, people who go and practice their parts and turn up, people who can bring skills to the band, whether it's social media skills, whether it's design skills, whether it's engineering skills. Because as you start in a band, it's DIY. The band you're not outsourcing. You don't have the income, you don't have the connections when you're kind of a younger band and getting started. So you need to be a successful band and to rise above what I call, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way to the scene, what I would call a local band level. Bands that are just really happy playing their city once a month, and, you know, band practice might be drinking club as well. And that's great. Like, that's really cool. And those bands, like, go for it. But for the bands that want to go further, I think then people need to be a little more professional. And that's what you learn when you tour and get overseas. Things are a lot more professional. Kiwis, there's so many good things about the Kiwi culture, the DIY and the go-get-'em attitude, and, you know, let's get stuck in. But then on the other hand, we're very, you know, we'll cut people down. We have this thing called, do you know, tall poppy syndrome?
I heard that term from my friend.
Yeah, so it's like we will criticize people once they start getting successful. So, and I think that holds a lot of people back. People are almost scared to go that extra mile to be successful. So I think bands can rise above in New Zealand and go abroad and make it internationally, but they need to be hardworking, they need to be professional, they need everyone in the band to contribute in some way. Everyone needs to hit and play their part. I know some very talented bands and some incredible musicians in this city and in this country, and unfortunately they've only got one person in that band that's trying to drive everything, and it gets very hard in the end.
Is it healthy? No. Do you think that's healthy for the band?
No. Look, that's fine. Eventually that person's probably going to go, you know what, guys? I'm going to go over here. I'm going to join this band, or I'm going to start something new. And you see it all the time. So for some people, being in a band, like I said, is going to band practice, drinking beer, playing their home city once a month, and sharing their band's social media on their own personal Facebook page once for the show. And that's all they contribute. Mm. Whereas the bands who go on and do more, whether it's touring out of New Zealand, whether it's getting good international support slots, they have their shit together somewhat.
Going back to your influence, I know Van Halen's your, as I understand it, is one of your influences. And how did you arrive to heavy music, given from, this is the spectrum of the heavy metal. We have the so heavy side of things, and then we have just the kind of not so heavy playing.
I coach swimming, so I can't kind of get out of that mindset half the time.
Yeah. And do you play drums here, or you practice somewhere with the band?
We have a rehearsal space which is in an industrial area, luckily, where we can't annoy anyone. When I was in my teens and early 20s, just who cares? You just annoy the neighbors and they can handle it. But as you get older, you don't want any stress in your life. So it's not worth it. No one needs noise control coming around when we're band practicing.
Right. Any challenging moments with your band in terms of experience since the beginning?
The hardest challenge for me of Bulletbelt's history has been, how do I say this? Continuing to drive the band forward and hold the band to its values while having some members who didn't quite slot into those values that the band needed to be. And probably going back a little bit before what I spoke about with the local band mentality. And once again, I do not want to sound arrogant when I say this, but this band has always been about holding itself to a higher standard than wanting to be at that level, and having some members come and go who brought their local band mentality to something that was trying to be a little more than that. And in hindsight, I wish I'd been more cutthroat. I wish I had not taken shit and lowering of the standards. I wish I had drawn a firmer line in the sand. Clearer. That to me now we realize 15 years on, and with a really professional lineup of good people that want to work together, that's what's required. You can't have dead weight. If we're going to be a successful band or coming back again, it needs to pitch in, and we need to be all of the same mindset, heading in the same direction.
So how do you do that in terms of, obviously you need to instill, if that's the right term that I'm using, you need to instill your values to the band as a whole, not just you believe in something and they don't believe in something that you believe in. I mean, like, everyone should contribute, you mentioned, and everyone should have the only way you can do that is you have the same values. You believe on the same thing, and then you have the same goal. How do you do that?
Community planning, prep. We're all busy. We're all older now. Some of the guys in Bulletbelt are in other bands as well. So we're very planned. We're talking, what are we doing in 12 months? What are we doing in 24 months? We have a diary where everything is mapped out. So as we get busier, that's a big part of it. Understanding there will be differences of opinion. We won't always agree. And that's fine. That's healthy. But being able to work professionally through those things, not taking things personally. We all want the same outcome. We want to write great music. We want to play great shows. We want to have these cool experiences of of touring and playing with like-minded bands and meeting cool people. So preparation. And we've learned that with making albums. Pre-production is everything. We're, as I said, we've started recording, and we've been working on this for 12 months at least to get to this point. So prep, like anything.
Right. And who's your producer for the new album? Yeah. Like writing music, of course, it's like brothers and sisters, right? You'll fight, argue because you can't agree on something. And so how did you?
We're arguing today on, we have a message thread. It's like, and that's healthy. Arguing's probably not the word, you know.
What's the best word?
Musical disagreements.
Right.
You know, and it's a democracy, but it's also not. Like, I don't stand there saying, you know, this is my band. It's not like that at all. The five of us, it's very important that we're a band. But there's also some standards, or not some standards, there's some non-negotiables as well with the band. Like, where do we, you know, like you spoke about Cosmic before, and that was way out here for us. But there'd be maybe things that we wouldn't do, that we wouldn't agree. And, you know, some of the band members would want to go further than that, but I might be the one that says, no, this is going outside the values. So we all have our own opinions. We all bring our own influences into the band, and it's really healthy debate. Debate is encouraged. And if we have disagreements on parts, we're having a disagreement at the moment, or not a disagreement, we're having a strong discussion about a guitar solo that's going to maybe be on a song, and that's healthy. We'll get to the right decision in the end, I think.
So if someone is his name Josh? Your lead guitarist?
Josh. Your
lead guitarist, right? If there's a guitar piece that you don't like, you can just let him know, or does he have all the? It's his call. If this is my solo and we can't change it. Blah, blah, blah.
No, we can change it.
Yeah.
It's a democracy. It's important that we all can, because we're all hearing things a little differently, right? You'll hear something, you'll hear something in a song that I won't hear. So no, absolutely. And like I said, we've got to the next album, if we truly want to put the work in to become a true international level metal band and play fucking, it all needs to be here.
On that level.
It needs to be here. So we've got to be hard on ourselves. And if he comes back to me and says those drum parts are shit, I will listen.
That's okay.
I will listen to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't take that personally. We're a band. We're brothers.
Yeah. And you need to look after one another, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. In terms of that kind of goal in mind, how long does it take to produce just one song? I'm just curious, maybe some of the listeners will be curious as well if they wanted to produce their own album. How long does it take?
How long is a piece of string?
Yeah. Of course, writing is a different part.